Oh yeah, I'm Ilya, and the co-founder and CTO of Entropy, and I'll go kind of spend the next 15 minutes, well, together with Robin, presenting what we do, kind of give an overview of our API and stuff like that, and look into some use cases, and of course, mandatory comparison to ChatGPT, right? So let me just start straight away. I'll share my whole screen. So yeah, so that's our website. So at Entropy, our vision is to kind of enable companies to understand their users, whether their users are consumers or businesses, through their bank transaction histories, and over time, other financial data too. And our core product is a transaction enrichment and categorization API, which ingests raw bank transactions on one end and outputs kind of an enriched version of these transactions with a bunch of bells and whistles on top of that, like calculating all of the income sources of somebody or looking at all the recurrence patterns and other things. So we can just start by just going to our website and just creating an API key, because of course we want to try this out, right? So let's create an account, create a new organization. Let's just go Visa demo, and let's say financial operations, consumer data. Let's say we want categorization, and we were referred to this website. So let's. All right, cool. So yeah, so this is kind of the intro dashboard, and we'll just start by creating an API key. All right. Cool. And let's take this key, copy this down, and we can go to the terminal. Let's just paste the key over here first. Okay, and then let's go to our docs, which actually we can just start from our webpage, go to developers, quick start. Let's see if we can get some, see what it does with transactions. Let's just go to search for pandas. This is kind of the quickest version, is to use a pandas data frame to enrich if your transactions are in a CSV file. Right, we pasted the code. This is our API key, right? Cool. And then so we'll need the key here. So if you're using Python, this is literally, well, 4 or 5 lines, right? And all right. And what we also have is anonymized kind of demo account holder over here. So this is our transactions in a CSV file. So it's kind of a bunch of transactions. They've been sorted by date over here. And it's around 1.5. Let me just move this whole thing out of the way. It's around 1.5 thousand transactions over here. So it's about around like 12 to 18 months of transaction history. So let's take this file over here. It's a demo account holder. And what we want to do is with our API key, we take this file, we initialize the SDK, and we just want to enrich these transactions and then save it to another file. All right, and then we just need to run this. All right, cool. So we should have our enriched file over here. I guess we can look at it quickly. So these are a bunch of enriched transactions, and we have now some labels, label groups, locations for merchants, merchant IDs, any person names in there, websites, really everything there is to know about these transactions in this file. But we don't really want to, this keeps, don't really want to look at it in the terminal. Let's do something a bit more fun and look at it in a nice interface. So this is a public, all of this is all of these addresses are also public. You can try yourself with your own transactions. So just app.entropy.com. And we're not going to connect the bank account here. That takes maybe between 1 and 2 minutes. But I'll upload that CSV file that we had here into this app. And basically, all right, so this is, okay. Yeah, so, and this does the same thing, except that we'll actually see the results in a nice kind of UI. Yeah, this is kind of the demo application. This is kind of some basic version of like a PFM app, which you can use to like, yeah, look at some analytics that we have, like our top categories, top merchants that we have spent. So suddenly from this basic raw transaction file, we can, look at all my recurring payments. These are my inactive subscriptions. These are my current subscriptions over here. Spotify, this is my transaction history at Spotify. Yeah, so one of these transactions, media, websites, we get the monthly recurrence information. These are my income sources. So of course, somebody that works at Entropy, right? We extracted that. These are my salaries, right? Yeah, and this is each of these transactions. Jane Doe, obviously, doesn't really work at Entropy, but a fictitious one, right? So, okay, so this is kind of what you can also do in your application, but also, of course, much more like underwriting and looking at personalization, comparing users based on their bank transactions and so on. And effectively, kind of, if we look at some of the raw bank transactions, right? Like, so what came in? So for example, this is one of the recurrence groups. What came in was something like USPS, postbox, PO boxes online, and we have an amount and a date and nothing else. And what you got was a website, we got a label, we got the recurrence pattern and everything else, a logo and stuff like that. So cool. And of course, there is also this new advent of language models. And so, of course, we need to answer this question, right? Like, so can ChatGPT do this, right? So can you just take your raw banking data and paste it into ChatGPT? And, if you want to be private, you can also use the GPT-4 API. But in any case, right? So we've also done some benchmarks. So this is our current specialized transaction enrichment API versus ChatGPT. So it's around 2,000 times cheaper per transaction to do this, even with a lot of effort in optimizing the GPT-4 prompts. Latency is about 150 times faster than the GPT-4 API, and accuracy is around 15 times higher for even the hardest cases. So this is kind of the. We also use, by the way, language models in our whole pipeline. There's slightly smaller version of the GPT-4 models, but they're still pretty large. And kind of the latency gain and everything they just get from kind of lots of optimizations and improvements that we do on our end, like layer fusing and quantization, distillation of these models. So, and I'll now pass it on to one of our ML engineers, Robin, who will kind of present another fun use case of what you can do with your transaction data.
Yeah,
so
thanks, Ilya.
Stop sharing here.
Okay. So I made a few slides for this. Basically, so these are typical banking applications that everyone's probably used. They usually have like a transaction feed of your recent transactions, and you can see where you bought things. Maybe they have an overview of your spending, the different categories like bills or holidays here. But what if a user wants something that the app doesn't support yet? For example, I want to know how much I spent on fast food last month. I assume most of the apps don't really support it. They might have something like eating out, but nothing that specific. So yeah, the point is that the bank applications usually have a fixed set of features. So one possible solution could be to have a chatbot with which you can talk about your transactions. So yeah, we made one and we call that Entropy cookie. So the way it works is you have a transaction history at the input that looks like here above, like a description and an amount typically, and also a user question or prompt. So for example, how much did I spend on fast food the past month? And then we take the transactions, we run them through Entropy's enrichment API, and then you know who the merchant was, the website, labels, and a couple of other things. And we give the user question and these enriched transactions to a large language model like ChatGPT, which probably everyone knows about or has used. And that one can generate the answer for us then. So in this case, the answer could be in the past month you spent on fast food, and then a couple of different fast food companies and amounts. And it will tell you the total amount was $115 here, for example. Yeah, so now for the demo. First of all, this is not the actual product right now. This is more like a thing that you can build with Entropy, and there will be bugs, and yeah, just a disclaimer. So we decided to use Discord, that's a popular chat platform, as the interface. And yeah, the way you get started is you can either use the /hello command, and then you can link your bank account, either American or European ones. For this demo, I will just upload a CSV file instead, the same one that Ilya used before with this hello CSV command. So I can click this and select the file with transactions and upload them, and yeah, then it tells you they are imported. So now you can already start prompting it. So for example, I wanted to know how much did I spend on fast food the past month, and yeah, it will look at the transactions and your question and give you an answer. So in this case, it tells you from April 16th to May 16th, you spent, well, this amount and different merchants. So another thing, we also have a few pre-made prompts already that are common. So a breakdown between essential and non-essential spend with this /essentials command. Yeah, you can see them here, different categories and amounts in essential and non-essential. What I noticed here was in non-essential, it has pets and education, which I think should be essential. So I can also just tell it that. So I think pets and education are essential. And then it will see that and it apologizes for getting it wrong, and that updates it and puts it in the other category. Yeah, and finally, you can ask it how much did I spend on essentials total, and then it will just sum everything up in the essential category and give you the answer. Okay, another nice command is saving opportunities. So it finds things where you could save money. For example, on food and drink here, it tells you that I have transactions at fast food chains and different restaurants, and I should consider cooking more at home, for example. Or here at entertainment and recreation, it notices I spent for entertainment at PlayStation, Amazon, and I should look for free or lower cost alternatives. And yeah, the third point is bank fees is another interesting one, because I might have missed them, or maybe there are different banks that have lower fees. So yeah, those are some things that could help users. And finally, we also have some less serious commands. So there's a command to make the bot insult you based on your transactions. So if I run this, you can see, oh wow, where do I even begin? Your spending habits are like a roller coaster of poor decisions. Let's start with your PlayStation obsession. You spent a whopping $245 on entertainment and recreation. Maybe try going out for a change. And yeah, it keeps going on about different things related to my transactions that I should probably change. So yeah, these are some things you could do with this. If you're interested in trying it, just reach out to us. But yeah, right now it's not an actual product.